Hello world, I'm an unemployed ex-big tech software engineer with over 25 years of experience in the tech industry. It's been over 100 days since my layoff, and I've gone through a very interesting mental journey. Now, these thoughts and feelings that I've experienced are neither good nor bad, but they are very different from before the layoff. So today I'm going to share these thoughts for posterity's sake. So when I was first laid off from my big tech job, there was this brief period of disorientation. Prior to the layoff, I had already been questioning the reason, meaning, and purpose of my tech career for years, but I didn't really have any intention to leave my job or to retire early or anything really. So the layoff came to me as a real surprise. I didn't know what to think or feel about it. When it hit me, I was kind of in shock. I was numb to this whole thing. One thing that I did do was to apply to a lot of tech jobs. I applied almost reflexively to these tech jobs. I didn't even question why I was doing it, but I applied anyway. Now, one emotion that I thankfully did not experience at all was fear. I had been saving and investing my money for years prior to this layoff, so my bills were getting paid no matter what. As such, I didn't have any financial fears or worries going into this situation. Now, I know I'm one of the lucky ones. A lot of laid off engineers do not have the same opportunities or span of time to accumulate money. And my heart goes out to all those laid off folks who don't have such a financial cushion. So within about a week, the disorientation started to wear off. But here's the thing, I have all this time on my hands and nothing to do. So I spent the bulk of that time doom scrolling on social media and gaming. And in doing so, I started thinking these really negative circular thoughts. After working for so many years in tech, it's like work became a part of my identity. And so when the job goes away, it's like a piece of me went away with it. I started asking myself these super dark questions, like, what's the point of all of this? All of this studying, all of this work, all of these projects, all of these late nights, time spent away from my family, all just to get laid off. Like, who am I without my work? What is the purpose of my life without work? Honestly, I got a bit depressed by it all. Now, interestingly enough, I told my therapist at the time about my dark moods, and she was the one who suggested I journal my thoughts as a way of self-therapy. And that's how this vlog got started. And you know what? My therapist was right. Just the act of talking about my thoughts and feelings out loud helps a lot. But aside from the sadness, I also felt this completely unjustified, unreasonable sort of shame. It feels like as if the loss of my job reduced my worth somehow as a human being. I felt ashamed to talk to people during the holidays because after a few minutes of conversation, it inevitably turned to things like, what do you do for a living? And how's your job going? And things like that. I told people that I'm working for myself now, and it felt super cringe and shameful to do so. Now, logically, it doesn't make any sense, but socially, it felt like I was at this pretty high spot on this ladder, and I was kicked right down to the bottom of it, way below everyone else around me. Oh, and speaking of unreasonable social comparisons, LinkedIn, man, why does this platform exist? This platform makes it seem like everybody in the world is advancing. Everyone is succeeding in their careers. Everyone but me. Surfing LinkedIn made me feel like the biggest loser on earth. At some point, I realized that my feelings of sadness and shame, they were being amplified by the social media that I was consuming. As such, I intentionally reduced my consumption of social media, like LinkedIn, to an absolute minimum. And gradually, over the course of weeks, the feeling of shame that I had from no longer being a leader at a big tech company started to fade away. And the whole premise started to seem a little ridiculous to me. The best way for me to describe this feeling is with an analogy. Imagine that you're a slave working on a plantation with a bunch of other slaves. And one day an overseer forgot to lock your shackles, and now you're running off to the hills. You look over your shoulders and you see that giant plantation receding in the distance. At this point, does it matter whether you were a house slave or a field slave? Should you really feel ashamed of the fact that you didn't get to eat the leftovers from the master's table? Ultimately, you're now a free man and the master of your own destiny. And everyone else still stuck on that plantation, they're still slaves. So that's that. But the thing is, I still have a bunch of free time on my hands every day. And that free time is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, that free time is a blessing and a relief, right? I have time to sleep well, eat well, exercise, and so on. But on the other hand, I started to get bored, like really bored. It almost seems like the stresses and challenges of my big tech job had a positive contribution towards my mental health. The feelings of accomplishment and fulfillment that I get from tackling and solving really hard challenges seems to be an essential need for my overall well-being. And it's like I've become addicted to these challenges and these stressors, and without it, I'm going through withdrawal symptoms. So my solution to this problem is to create my own challenges, things that stimulate me and requires effort to solve. Examples of these challenges include making vlogs, writing software apps on the side, learning how to swim, gaining literacy in the Chinese language, and so on. Now, in doing this, I realized that having the autonomy to pick which activities that I can work on, that makes those activities way more interesting and fun to do. The freedom to decide whether to continue working on something or to just stop it if you're not interested in doing it, that makes that thing way more fun. This change in turn led to a readjustment of my sense and feeling of accomplishment. What do I mean by this? Well, when I was still working with big tech, I had to constantly deal with big challenges and problems to solve. For example, one time there was a huge production outage and the company was losing tons of money every hour. And I had to solve this problem ASAP. And when I figured out the solution and rolled it out, it felt like such an awesome sense of accomplishment. But then everything else that I did at home, outside of work, felt kind of boring and almost meaningless. Now that I'm laid off, my brain has been slowly rewiring itself to appreciate and feel fulfilled by all the things that I do from day to day. Like, for example, when I cook a delicious meal and I see my wife and kids enjoy eating it. To me now, that is a major accomplishment. It's sort of like when you live your entire life on junk food and then you switch to actual healthy food. At first, everything tastes bland and boring, but after a while, your palate readjusts itself and you realize that this high quality, wholesome food tastes way better than junk food ever did. So that leads to the next thing. When I was working with big tech, a week would pass just like that. But now, time seems to be passing at a slower rate for me. This sounds weird, so let me take a moment to explain myself. When I was still working, a big chunk of my day was spent doing activities that were familiar to me or semi-repetitive in nature. And so my mind at work would go into this almost semi-autopilot mode where I'm there, I'm doing the work, I'm going through the motions, but my mind is not entirely present. Now that I'm unemployed, when I'm working on my own stuff, every single thing gets more thought, more attention, more deliberation. And it's because I'm autonomously choosing what to do from hour to hour. In every conversation that I have, I can choose to be more present. This kind of active choosing, active deliberation means that my mind rarely goes into the autopilot mode anymore. And somehow, this is slowing down my perception of time in a very good way. It's almost like I'm somehow experiencing more life in the same span of time. It's weird, but pretty cool. So, net, my crazy life journey pivot is still in flight. I'm walking through this uncharted path and learning new things every day. Not having the high social status or the super difficult problems to work on or the ginormous big tech salary, those are obvious downsides. But having all of this free time, having the autonomy to decide on exactly what I want to work on every day, and having this sense of accomplishment and fulfillment when I do something that's actually meaningful to me, it feels really good. I'm starting to think that the benefits may outweigh the downsides at this point. Anyways, I hope you found this helpful. If you have a morbid curiosity to join me in my life journey, please feel free to subscribe to this channel and subscribe to my Substack newsletter. If you want to support my vlog creation efforts, please consider becoming a member of this channel or just buy me a coffee. If you want a coaching session with me or just to chat, please schedule a meeting with me. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Talk soon. Laters. Bye.